Welcome back to another episode of Divine Journey 2. In the last episode, we set up Automated Will and got some of the different Hellfire Forges set up for our reagents. And we also got the Well of Suffering set up and Automated Blood. And in between episodes, I actually switched from witches to zombies because I accidentally made them. I went too close to them and they started throwing potions and they splashed me. So I switched over to zombies, if I can find it. Zombies on graveyard soil, and the graveyard soil basically just heals them, and then the ritual just damages them, and it's just a repeating cycle basically. And they're all named like the witches were, and I think there's like 96 in there, I think. So that gives us quite a bit of blood, which we're not going to do anything. We're actually going to do something with it today, but not yet. Alright, we're going to progress a little more in the quest book. And the first thing we need is some of this electrotine, which can only be gotten through the Mark of the Falling Tower ritual. So I've gathered up all these resources here. There's a block of obsidian, 11 blocks above, like the quest book recommends. And that's just so the meteor that falls won't destroy the actual ritual. So I'm going to place all these runes real quick. And if we activate it with the ritual and feed it a potency core on top, if I can place it correctly, we should get electrotine. Here we go. And I actually made this Vengeance pickaxe since it has Fortune 5 on it, and I also put Mending and Efficiency on it. So we can get a lot from this. Got 7 from that one. I'm going to harvest this meteor real quick and be back. I've harvested all the electrotine and we're left with a little under 9 stacks. Alright, next up we have to make some of this angelic silicon crystal mixture. And the reason we actually needed the electrotine is for this electrosilicon right here, which takes the silicon compound, which takes the electrotine and silicon. So I put in a bunch of recipes, so we should be able to request it. We are. And there's our angelic silicon crystal mixture. And using a block of the silicon crystal, we can make our next tier of gateway key in the Hellfire Forge with 2048 will. Alright, now that we've arrived in our next dimension, Almathal, there's 2 resources we're going to need, mainly Axiom and the Skin of Almathal, which just comes from the Staff of Rending. Basically, going around right-clicking mobs, and then once you get enough, you'll get the actual item. And then for the Ithaxium, the quest book actually said to make the bound pickaxe. The mining level is Ithaxium. So I'm going to go around and harvest both of these things. I'll be back. Alright, for the next tier of Necronomicon, we're actually going to need some engraved coins, which can be made with the engraver here, and with a coin engraving and blank coins. So I just made the bizarre one, because that was the easy one for me. I had all the resources for it. And all I have to do is just place in 4 blank coins. We'd get our engraved coins. The first upgrade we're going to make is upgrading our Staff of Rending to the Almathal version. And that takes 1 Shadow Gem, 3 Ghoul Flesh, and 4 Almathal Stone. now we have to fly to 00 to actually find the dungeon for this world. So almost there. Should be coming up right. Oh, yep. Right, here's our dungeon. Find the entrance. Should be somewhere. There it is. Right, and if we go inside and go to the top, we should find the boss. Actually, he's right here. Oh, okay. I guess I went too high. Hold on, let me go back. Right, I've returned, and oh, there's the black hole that we need to stay away from. Oh, hey, he got me again. Alright, we should be good after this disappears. Okay, now we need to run because big explosion. Right, I went back to Almathal to gather up enough axiom for 4 blocks. And using our new Essence of the Gatekeeper, we can make the final tier of Necronomicon, the Abyssal Nomicon. Alright, now we need to make our... I don't know how to say that. Dakthos Soul Reaper Blade. But to actually do that, we need to jump down into the void in Omathal, enter the final Abyssal Craft dimension. And in this final dimension, we're going to have to set up a final ritual plot made out of dark Athaxium bricks. And then to actually summon the boss, it's 1 block of Athaxium, 1 Rune of Winter, 1 Inverted Potentia, 4 Corrosive Will Crystals, and 1 Oblivion Catalyst. And no, this doesn't take a sacrifice. And it also takes 100,000 PE. That's what took the longest, actually. So, here we go. There's our blade. Right, now that we have the blade, the reason we needed it is for these Souls of the Dark Realm. which means basically we have to kill mobs with this, and over time, as we kill mobs, it'll fill up, and eventually we can craft it with a soul extractor to get the souls of the Dark Realm. So I'm going to do a little mob killing and come back. And with that, we can make our terrestrial agglomeration plate. Alright, before we start making terrasteel, the last step we need is actually to make a few sparks. But to actually do that, we need something called methane, which comes from transmutating crystallized methane clusters, and that comes from crystallized methane, and that comes from crystallized hydrogen and carbon. So over here I have two crystallizers set up. One is for coal for the crystallized carbon, and the other is for water buckets for crystallized hydrogen and crystallized water, or oxygen rather. And then basically have two phantom faces here because these machines are sided and it was just easier to set them up back here. So these phantom faces, they insert on the top, their fuel goes in on the side, and then they get extracted on the bottom. The output goes into their respective drawers, and then both of the hydrogen and carbon clusters get put into this formulaic assemblator here. That gets turned into the crystallized methane. It goes into a compacting drawer, and then once there's 9 methane, it turns into a cluster. That goes into the transmutator. It gets transmutated, and that's what actually turns into the methane. With that, we can make our few sparks. I've gone ahead and set up our terrestrial agglomeration plate here, and basically the structure for this is 4 lapis blocks on the sides, and then 5 living rock on the 4 corners, and 1 under the terrestrial agglomeration plate. And to actually get our terrasteel, all we have to do is drop 1 mana diamond, 1 mana steel, and 1 mana pearl. And in a few seconds here, we should get our terrasteel. There we go. And now, since we have terrasteel, we can make our Elven Gateway core, as well as the 3 glimmering living wood. And the last thing we need is 2 nature pylons. I've gone ahead and set up the Elven Gateway portal, and the basic setup is the core goes on the bottom, living wood goes on these 2 blocks and these 2 blocks, glimmering goes in the middle and the top part, and then the corners are just regular living wood. And then there's 2 mana pools here. They're about a little under halfway filled. And then the 2 nature pylons go on top. And I basically just filled these with those mana spreaders there, since we don't have access to the spark augments yet. But if we right-click on the core, this should activate. Very good. And we can now start trading with the elves. So we're going to trade mana steel for elementium, mana pearls for pixie dust, mana diamonds for dragonstone, mana glass for elf glass, living wood for dream wood, and living matter for dream matter. One of the first upgrades we're going to make is upgrading our sanguinary pedestal to the 2nd tier, which basically allows it to give a little more blood. And also I made the ring of magnetization from Botania, and also the wireless crafting terminal. Another upgrade we can make now that we have access to the Elven Gateway portal is upgrading our mana spreaders to the Elven version, and that basically allows more throughput. Another upgrade we're going to make to our Botania setup is on these 2 sparks here for these 2 mana pools. We're going to add the Spark Augment Dominant to them. And basically what that's going to do is any pools that have the Dominant trait on them, they're going to pull from all the other mana pools that basically don't have it. So if we apply it to this spark, for example, if I can reach it, like that, it'll start transferring all the mana from those pools into this one, and it'll basically always keep these 2 full. So this portal should theoretically never go offline. Another upgrade we can make is to our Fey Crafter. We can upgrade it to the Runic Crafter. Now that we have Terra Steel, I made some Mirion, which was just a simple Empower recipe. And then I also made Modularium, which was Mirion, Ender Alloy Advanced, and Smoky Quartz. And if we combine that with 2 Runic Dust and another Fey Crafter, we can get our Runic Crafter. And that basically means we can automate the Fey Crafter. And the reason we needed the Runic Crafter is actually to automate Elemental Soil, as that's required for one of the Blood Magic reagents, the Dirty reagent actually. And basically how I have this set up is on the bottom, the Runic Crafter will pull from any inventory. So I just have the wooden crate supplying all the resources for the Elemental Soil recipe. Then over here I have a mechanical user with a knife in it, and that's basically what starts the craft. And then this drawer on top is where the output goes. And then I have this relay here for once the drawer fills up to 14 out of 15. Once this redstone upgrade emits a signal of 14 out of 15 for the total storage, it'll send it to this mechanical user here, which will basically turn it off and stop it from stop this Runic Crafter from dropping items on the ground. Since if this can't find an inventory, it'll just drop on the ground, and that wouldn't be good. It would just be wasting resources. Now that we have our basic elemental soil fully automated, I've also gone ahead and automated magmatic and aqueous soil. And the way I did that here is with 2 automatic precision droppers. The drawers over there have redstone upgrades on them, and then there's a redstone conduit on the backs of them getting the input of the redstone signal. They run all the way here to these redstone relays here. These are on threshold mode, so when it's below 15, or 14 rather, it won't emit its signal, and these precision droppers will drop the basic elemental soil in, it'll get transferred, and then it'll get picked up by the range collector here. And then there's an item conduit on the back. It just gets extracted and then goes into the drawers over there. And then once it fills up, the redstone relays here will emit a signal, and since this is on output and this is on deactivation, it'll keep these off until the redstone signal goes away. Now that we have the Elven Gateway portal up and running, I also made recipes for the tier 2 runes, and I crafted all of them for the quest. And I've also made a pattern for Demon Blood Shards, which is the next thing we need to make. And if we put that through the Blood Altar, we'll get our tier 5 Blood Orb. Alright, now that we have our Archmage Blood Orb, we're going to start making some purified tablets. And these are used for a whole bunch of things, mainly the mana tablet, and eventually we're going to upgrade them into the magical version. And those are actually what's used for the Gaia pylons. So with that being said, I'm going to make 20 for now. And if we need more, I'll make more afterwards. We're just missing the Runes of Sloth. Alright, I've gone ahead and overhauled our Botania setup. So first of all, starting with these runic altars, we now have 4 of them. And they all have the same exact recipes. They all have Elven Mana Spreaders with mana lenses of potency and velocity on them. And basically there's mechanical users down here that are getting fed by interfaces on blocking mode. All the resources go into here. These are on activate block with item. So they get put on here, and I guess there's like cross mod interaction or something, because somehow it works without, it doesn't put more than the recipe requires in, which is nice. And then the same thing here is just one on the forest with use item on block. And then there's range collectors below, gathering the runes. And then here, this is basically our giant mana buffer. And below here, I moved all of the endo flames down here, and I also made 32 more. We now have 64 endo flames here. And every 8 there's a mana spreader with the potency velocity lens on it. All of them shoot into this mana pool, and then this spark here has a recessive augment, which will basically send out mana from this mana pool into all the other mana pools. And then for Terrasteel automation, there is a automatic precision dropper, which will actually place the mana diamond, mana steel, and mana pearl. And above here, I broke it. Above here is all the logic for everything. So basically there is a timer here, which just stops it from oversending and actually lets the crafts complete before sending more. Then there is a level emitter here for 576 Terrasteel, and a redstone receiver here, which is linked up to this bottom redstone receiver. And there's a redstone relay on this, which just checks to make sure there is 4 out of 15 redstone levels worth of mana in this pool. If there is, it'll send a signal to this transmitter here, go to this receiver here, and turn off this part of the AND gate. This level emitter will turn off this part of the AND gate, and if all 3 of them get turned off, this AND gate will emit. It'll go into a sequencer here, which will give just enough time for 1 mana steel, 1 mana pearl, and 1 mana diamond to get extracted and get put in this precision dropper. Then it'll drop, and then once the craft completes, there is a accumulator down there, and then just an item conduit hooked up to an interface to pick it up. And then for this mana pool here, this is for all the regular mana stuff, so like the mana quartz, the mana string, the mana glass, the mana steel, mana powder, mana pearls, and mana diamonds. Up here, there is 7 precision droppers here. Every one of these has a level emitter for the different mana resource, and item conduits with filters and all that. And then the raw materials get provided here. They get split up throughout the 7 different precision droppers. And these level emitters, basically when they're turned on, they'll stop these from dropping. But if this were to turn off, it would drop the raw resource down the chute. It would get transformed. And then again, there's a accumulator down there picking up all the mana resources and going into the system. Then once there's enough, this level emitter turns on and stops it from dropping anymore. Alright, and last up, for the Elven Gateway resources and all that, there's an interface here supplying all the mana items. And then for every item, there is a different conduit and different level emitter associated with it. These level emitters have the Elven resource on it, and if they're off, they won't extract because these are on active with redstone signal. But if it were to extract, they would get extracted and put into this precision dropper here. They would get dropped above, get transformed, and then this accumulator would pick it up and put it into the system. And for Elven Quartz, I had to do something a little special since it requires 2 items while everyone else requires 1. And I'm using an impulse hopper here. So if it gets 1 sunny quartz and 1 terrasteel, it'll actually send the items to the output slots so they can actually get extracted. Otherwise, if there's only, say, like terrasteel nuggets but not any sunny quartz, it wouldn't extract the terrasteel nuggets. But if both items there's both enough stock for both of these items, they'll show up in here, and then a second or 2 later they'll show down here. They'll get extracted and go into the precision dropper to get transformed into Elven Quartz. And for the different quartzes, the way I have it set up is mana quartz is automatically being made over there, and then I have Twitch being made in this vat, being sent to this vat and that vat, making liquid sunshine and fire water. Fire water goes into this fluid transposer, and the sunshine goes into this fluid transposer. And then the mana quartz goes into this fluid transposer to be transformed into blaze quartz, and then it just gets stored in this drawer. Then the blaze quartz gets combined with Virtus in this induction smelter to get transformed into red quartz. Red quartz goes into this fluid transposer to get transformed into sunny quartz. The sunny quartz over there with terra steel gets transformed into the elven quartz. And then the elven quartz and the alliums get transformed into lavender quartz. And how I'm doing lavender quartz is basically back over there. I'm bone mealing sunflowers, so we basically have infinite sunflowers at this point. And I'm level limiting this item conduit to make sure there's only 256 alliums in the system. And if there's less, it'll turn on and get extracted and go into that precision dropper there and into this mana pool. And there is a alchemy catalyst underneath it, which will basically transform it into the other different flower versions. And once it reaches alliums, it'll get picked up by this range collector and go back into the system. And the final thing I automated were the blood magic slates. And how I'm doing this is I'm running redstone conduits up to the drawers there, and they have redstone cards in them for total capacity. Then each of the drawers gets a different color. And these relays are on inverted threshold mode of greater than or equal to 14. And then every one of these relays goes into a output relay, which will extract the abyssal stone from the interface and allow it to go into this phantom face here, which is linked to the blood altar up there. And if a slate gets low, it'll get extracted and go into there. And then it'll only extract here. I have relays on here for these 6 different types of plates. And it won't extract unless this is on, since these are on activate signal. If one of those drawers were to get empty, it would turn on one of the 6 different relays here and allow it to extract that tier of slate. Otherwise, it'll just keep it in there and I'll keep making the higher tier to a point. And I have these on 14 instead of 15, just so that there's buffer room so those drawers don't completely fill up. I really missed one setup I made, which was using this flower and some regular stone. Is actually how we get the metamorphic version of that stone. So I have placers here placing regular stone. They'll get transformed and auto-broken by these breakers. And these breakers are going to give the cobblestone version. So I have it going into a smelting factory to turn it into the stone version. And then it's just getting sent into this system. And then under here, I have a level emitter and a timer on 5 seconds. And if this level emitter is on, since this is on pause while redstone's active, it's not going to turn on this timer until this level emitter turns off. That stops it from filling up all of our drives with metamorphic stone. With all that automation done, we can upgrade our purified tablets to the mana version, or the magical version rather. Alright, and with that, I think I'm going to end this episode here. So yeah, thanks for watching.